In the quiet town of Varlington, Daniel Hayes lived an ordinary life, or so people thought. But he carried a dark secret. 15 years ago, Daniel made a choice that changed everything. One evening, he found a letter with no sender. The paper was yellowed, the ink smudged. His hands trembled as he read the 5 chilling words. You signed your own death. A buried memory surfaced. 15 years ago, drowning in debt, Daniel met Mr. Graves, a man with a dangerous smile. Sign this contract, Graves had said. Walk away with a fortune, no questions asked. Daniel never read the contract. He only saw $1 million. He signed, and now someone was telling him his time was up. The next morning, another letter arrived. Meet me at the old clock tower, midnight, come alone. At midnight, Daniel stood before the abandoned clock tower. A figure emerged from the darkness. Mr. Graves, only he hadn't aged a single day. You didn't think a deal with me would just disappear, did you? Graves smirked. Daniel's breath caught. What did I sign? Graves chuckled. You sold something, Daniel, and I've come to collect. Sold what? Graves leaned in, his voice like steel. Your time. Daniel staggered back. You've lived 15 extra years on borrowed time, but now it's up. No, there must be another way, Graves smiled. There is. A small black book appeared in his hands. Find someone willing to take your place. Offer them the same deal you took. Daniel's heart pounded. You mean trick someone else? Graves' grin widened. You did it once, didn't you? Find another desperate man, and you live. For days, Daniel wrestled with the decision. Then, one afternoon, he saw a man, homeless, cold, hungry, a perfect target. Daniel hesitated, then approached. Hey, you look like you could use some luck, he said. The man looked up, eyes filled with hope. Daniel felt something crack inside him. 15 years ago, he had been this man. Could he really do this to someone else? Daniel stared at the contract. His own signature, 15 years ago, had sealed his fate. Tears burned his eyes. He had been given 15 years of life. And what had he done with them? Nothing. He had lived in fear, regret, selfishness, and now he had a choice. He could run, or he could break the cycle. That night, Daniel returned to the clock tower. Graves was waiting. So you found someone? Graves asked, smirking. Daniel smiled. And then, in one swift motion, he tore the contract in half. The wind howled. The air turned bitter cold. Graves's face darkened. What have you done? I'm done running, Daniel said. I won't let someone else suffer for my mistake. Graves took a slow step forward. Then you die tonight. Daniel's heart pounded, but for the first time in 15 years, he was at peace. Silence. Then, to Daniel's shock, Graves laughed. Fascinating, he murmured. No one ever chooses this path. He stepped closer. Very well. You passed the test. Daniel's breath caught. What? Graves smirked. Did you really think this was about debt? No, Daniel. This was about your soul. He let the torn contract slip from his hands. It vanished into thin air. You were given 15 years to learn a lesson, Graves said. to understand that life is not just about surviving, but about living with integrity. He turned away, his voice fading into the night. Congratulations, Daniel. You're finally free. As dawn broke, Daniel stood in the streets of Varlington. The air was crisp, the sun was warm. For the first time in years, he was truly alive. And this time, he would not waste his second chance. Moral of the story is, life will always give you choices. But in the end, it's not about what you gain, it's about who you become.